All right, guys, Rema71 here. Welcome to my midweek fireside chat. So I don't normally do things like this, an Asmongold type look at someone else's stuff, but there is a good reason for it, and that's that we've got a new post from C4. So if you don't know who C4 is, he's the guy behind the Rivington Rat, which is basically the benchmark by which every other build is judged. And he's somewhat of a godfather in the builds community. And he's done this retrospective on the meta. And it's an absolutely fascinating read. I'll put it in the link down below. Make sure you have a look at it. I was quite taken aback when I read it. I think because I'm in here, it's made me go away and think about my place in the community and the meta. And for context, I'm basically like an NPC in real life. I don't find myself in situations where I'm on stage or influencing things very often. But yeah, I did make an appearance in here. Yeah, and it gave me like quite a bit to think about. So I think like C4's insight on the meta and how we all interact with each other and how play styles get traction and how some of them might have fallen out of favor and where individual players fall into the different play styles is really interesting. And I was placed in Opt 3, which is niche optimization. So that's using niche classes, unusual unexplored items, recognizes power feats, often ignores them. I might use consumables and I might stack buffs, which is really fair. I can't argue with it. It's if you look at any of the build guides, it's Drunken Master, Shadow Sorcerer, Swarm Keeper, Thief. I don't think I've ever used a Shadow Blade. I've never ever equipped a Shadow Blade or cast Shadow Blade. Even when I used Booming Blade, it was just to carry the Drunken Master. But I think it really got me thinking about how I make builds. Because believe it or not, when I'm making a build, I do try to optimize them, but they're optimized within a framework that I set myself. And that framework is usually I explicitly want to use certain items or craft a certain gameplay loop. But I do try to make it as powerful as I possibly can. I'd like to think I'm not just, throwing things out there and just like, just use this item. It's crap, but it's fun. I do try to optimize what I'm doing. And I think 5, like spreadsheet min-maxing and 3 niche new wave, I think there's a lot. I think they're interlinked. And I think the bridge between them is execution and gameplay loops. So if you've got the knowledge of Opt 5 where you understand how to max damage, you understand how to mitigate damage, you've got a clear idea of what you value in a build, what reflects your play style, it enables you to go to Opt 3. And that's why I want to use the post as a springboard into build crafting. Because I really like the idea of enabling you guys to take the knowledge you've built up, go away with it, and make your own builds. Because believe it or not, I love the RP side of it. Like how my character looks is really important to me. The aesthetic, like we joke about it, we call it vibe maxing, but it is important to me. It's to get through a playthrough, I have to become invested in the character. I have to enjoy the gameplay loop. I like a bit of skill level in the execution. I like skill shots. So tone toning down the power level is how I increase the difficulty level. So like on the Swarm Keeper, I'll not take Sharpshooter because I want all my damage to be elemental. That's because I want the class fantasy of an elemental archer. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to min-max the elemental side of things. I do try to make builds the best that they can be. So I'm going to show you the build that I've been working on. And at first glance, it's going to look a mess. It is absolutely going to look a mess. But it's a build that I want to play. I'm enjoying playing it. I've made some decisions that they might look odd on the surface, but I'll talk you through why I've made those decisions, how they work together, and then we'll have a look at how the build stacks up in combat. And hopefully you get some ideas to, take away and make your own builds and start putting together your own gameplay loops. And yeah, let's get into it. Right, guys, this is the build that I'm stress testing. Hopefully get the guide out over the next week or so. But I think it's a really good example of the space between Opt 5 spreadsheet maxing and Opt 3 niche maxing. They're not mutually exclusive. You should be trying to make every build the best version of itself. At least that's what I try to do. I'd never consciously make a bad decision. I'd like to think that every decision I've made is there for a reason. But the build is 5 levels into Rogue with our first feat as Magic Initiate Sorcerer. And then 3 levels into Fighter with the Battlemaster subclass. So this looks an odd decision, but this is the reason for it, right? I want to maximize the damage that an uncanny dodge retaliation rogue can do on its own turn and on the enemy's turn. And Rage blocks Booming Blade. And Booming Blade is a damage increase on our turn and on the enemy's turn because it loads Elemental Infusion. But then we lose the Barbarian's tank from Rage. So I wanted Blade Ward. So then it was a case of, right, how do I get Blade Ward and Booming Blade onto the progression of a build? I want them early because I want to lock the gameplay loop in early. And what else can we do to increase our damage, mitigate the damage coming in? And the best option that I saw was disarm and attack from the Battlemaster. So disarm and attack online's Shadow Cloaked Ring. So this only rides on retaliation damage on unarmed attacks. So if we can disarm anyone, that means that they do less damage to us. So we're mitigating the incoming damage and we're increasing it because we're loading Shadow Cloaked Ring. Disarming enemies also opens up ranged attackers for retaliation damage because they'll do an unarmed attack when they drop their bow. They don't switch to melee weapons. So we've made a couple of decisions that on the surface they seem odd, but they give us strict damage increases on both sides of both parts of our turn. The opportunity attacks where we abuse Uncanny Dodge and Blade Ward for the same resistance as the Barbarian, and increases our damage on our attacks. So let's have a look at it in action. It's got a really engaging gameplay loop. You have to sequence your attacks. You move around the battlefield, disarming everyone. The idea is that you main action Blade Ward and then fight left-handed and then refresh it as it's about to run out. But if you don't need it because you're stable in the fight and you're on cleanup, you don't need to do it and you're just all in on your main hand and Booming Blade. You have a decision to make between loading an infusion and disarming. So this is what I value in a build. It's an engaging gameplay loop. It explores some fun things like opportunity attacks off range characters, and maxing out our damage on Shadow Cloaked Ring, which if we get things right should load 6, 7, 8 times in a round. And yeah, it looks really odd. It's not, I know it's uncommon, but it's not odd for the sake of being odd. I'm not just throwing out like random things and being like, yeah, this is cool. There is a thought process behind it. And that thought process has looked at the numbers from our Opt 5, spreadsheet thinking, like working out what percentage of Savage Attacker is Organ Rearranger. What's our damage increase over the course of a round going to be like if we're loading Shadow Cloaked Ring and loading Elemental Infusion because we've accessed Booming Blade. So it should work well as a build. So we'll take it into combat. And I'll show you the how we practice locking the gameplay loop in. So we'll disarm this guy. So this guy, he's had his weapon damage reduced, and he's going to do much less damage to us. And he's going to have Shadow Cloaked Ring damage against him as well. So that's an offhand attack there, which has done some really good damage. We've got Bloodlust to get our tank online. And we've got the opportunity to load one of our buffs, because we know from optimizing that Sonic Overload rides on a lot of things. It's a really good buff. And let's see how the fight plays out. So this guy is unarmed. So we want to load an Elemental Infusion. Okay, we accidentally killed him. Right. We've got our mobility. So we can force opportunity attacks to maximize our DPR. Of course they miss. Another one there. Put Uncanny Dodge on. Big riposte there. Right, so he's armed. So we want to disarm him. Force opportunity attacks. Kill him. And we go over here. Disarm her. And hopefully force an opportunity attack. And that's the build. You can see we're taking virtually no damage because they're disarmed. We can load an infusion here, which has absolutely wrecked him. And that's it. Keep an eye out for the build guide. Hopefully I've shown you something, guys. I like to put things out that get you thinking. But yeah, that is how we take a magic, initiate, thief, battlemaster, retaliation tank and try to optimize it. It's been a bit of a ramble. Thanks for listening. Love talking to you guys about the game, about builds. And yeah, I'll see you soon.